thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure and a privilege to be with you. And I bring you greetings from the speech maker of Luton, referred to by Peter, the Deputy Prime Minister, to whom I was speaking just literally on my way from the station. Like Peter and like you and like Nasir, who we've just seen, I'm a person of faith. Like you, I'm a person of politics, and like you, I'm a person of passion. Those are three things I see in the Islamic community in this country. And I want to thank you for the contribution you make. You are not part of the margin. You are part of the mainstream. And Britain is the richer. And Britain is phenomenally the richer for that. You've made such a great contribution. I've watched it in front of my own eyes, living as I have done for half my life just off the Old Kent Road. I have seen the contribution grow and develop. Travelling around the country as I do today in Manchester and Burnley, I have seen the contribution develop and grow. Firstly, to respect, to multi-faith, to multicultural Britain, to living out what we all say is the right model for our lives. Secondly, to the economy and politics of Britain, to the contribution of the wealth of Britain, the success of Britain, enriched by hard-working, law-abiding, disciplined Muslims who get stuck in and help to make us a more successful place. Thirdly, to add to the vibrancy and richness of Britain. The Muslim community is now a young community. It's a professional community. It's engaged in all walks of life, in journalism and the arts and law and medicine. The whole of the community is infused by people from the Islamic tradition. Fourthly, very much a community that has done, again what Nasir epitomised in what he said, has been there for others when others needed you. In the moments of tension and crisis in some of our towns and cities over the last 10 years, it was people like those of you here from the MCB who were there being the community leaders, preaching calm, sharing wisdom, doing all those things. And lastly, being fantastically good partners in trying to communicate British values, the sort of thing Peter was talking about all around the world. All those are really good things. Peter, I can't entirely answer your question, but I do want to allude to it. It is not, and what you reminded everybody here of is obvious, it is not a secret that there is in government a struggle going on for what should be the dominant view about this faith community and all faith communities. And Saeed Avasi, with whom I was last night doing question time, and Nick Clegg in his speech in Luton, sought to reflect the view that I share, the view that led me to go every year to the Global Peace and Unity event, and led Saida to want to go until she was stopped by the whips at the door. And the important role you have is to make sure that that internal struggle within government, and it's not a coalition inter-party struggle, it's not one party here and one party there, it crosses those boundaries. I hope all of my colleagues are in the right place, he says carefully in brackets, is something that we need your help to win. Prevent policy, for example, is being reviewed, as it should be. And I hope we will have a better policy in terms of engaging the community, not a worse policy. The events of today, the difficult and sad events of today, I'm sure did produce the right government response. Talking to a friend who came back from Tripoli just a couple of days ago, I'm clear that when people in the predominantly Muslim world rise up in the name of democracy, it is for the sisters and brothers in other places to respond to their requests for help. And I'm clear that in Libya and in Egypt and in Tunisia, when the Arab world, the Arab League says, come and help us, we need to do that. And it hopefully will prevent the sort of genocide that we saw in Srebrenica and other places. I just want to say, though, one thing that's important in terms of the responsibility that you now have too. You have a responsibility to make sure that the voices are not just heard at events like this and in all the other walks of life, but that they are heard in a way that maximises their influence in British life for the next year, the next 2 years, the next decade. You have 3 immediate chances to do so. In the next 10 days, you have an obligation to make sure every single Muslim in Britain takes part in the census, to record the fact that you're here, alive and well and participating. We absolutely must have a country where we know the strength of each of our communities and therefore can respond accordingly and respond in our services. Secondly, there are elections coming up in May in Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland for their governments, in many councils for their local authority leadership. We now see more and more Muslims in government. That must go on, but it's engaged by people participating in the elections. And you wouldn't expect me not to mention the third. I have a little badge here which says yes. I salute the fact that the MCB is asking people in the Muslim community to support the yes campaign in the referendum. It will be a phenomenally important thing for the faith communities in Britain that we change the voting system from one invented for the 19th century, when there were really only two parties, to one appropriate for the 21st century, where there is a range of view and a range of parties. And I hope you'll go out enthusiastically and work for a yes result in a referendum which absolutely can be won and which your community, like many others, will benefit from. So from here, I will take back the message of encouraging leadership, willing Britain on. I will take back the desire to engage at all levels of life, including politics, and I will take back the message from you, as well as from other speakers like Peter, that at the highest level in government, where there has been policy that has misunderstood you, there needs to be the learning that understands you better. We must be open enough and honest enough to be critical in the media of the people who are wrong in the media, but be critical of the politicians who make a wrong assessment of the community in public life. You have come of age in this country. You have been here, some of you, in families for generations, indeed for centuries. Britain should be the place that sets the example. And I hope that what tonight will do will encourage you to say that you're on the right track. The rest of Britain really values you being here. And, inshallah, very soon there will be a total respect for the Muslim and other communities in this country, which will give everybody the dignity to walk head held high in every street in Britain, not fearful of the past, not worried about the present, but optimistic of the future. It's a wonderful, visionary dream, and it's the sort of dream that your faith and mine and our common political tradition is on the verge of making reality. Thank you very much. God go with you.